I hope you all are staying safe and healthy, and this is Carrie, and welcome back to I Like Reddit channel. Today we have 3 stories out of the entitled Parent subreddit plus 1 story out of I Don't Work Here Lady. Let's begin. Our first story is by Hecate Nocturne, entitled Mother Lets Her Kids Steal My Blind Cane. So, a bit of backstory. I'm a 28-year-old woman who recently went fully blind. When I was a teenager, I volunteered with a local youth group that helped rebuild Mississippi after Hurricane Katrina. While down there, I picked up a fungal parasite called histoplasmosis that over a decade migrated to my eyes and slowly caused blindness. I've been totally blind for a year now. I'm pretty new to it, but I digress. When I first went blind, I barely left the house and was afraid to go in public. I felt like everyone was staring at me, and in all honesty, I barely knew what I was doing. The transition had been difficult, and I didn't have any support group to teach me. One day, my husband asked me if I can take an Uber down to the bank and deposit the rent check. I reluctantly agreed. While out, he messaged again and reminded me that we were out of a few crucial groceries. There was a Walmart grocery literally across the street from the bank, so I figure everything in life is an experience, and I'll have to learn how to shop alone eventually, so why not? Everything was fine at first, and I only grabbed a few things, so I didn't need a cart. I was using my cane and what little echolocation skills I had at the time to get around, but was still bumping into things, as we blind tend to do sometimes. My cane suddenly hit something a bit softer, and I figure maybe I had whacked someone's leg and apologize. Q, entitled Kid, EK, and entitled Mother, EM. Me, shoot, I'm sorry, EM. Hey, you just hit my son. Me, I'm so sorry, ma'am. I didn't see him there. EM begins yelling, how could you not see him? He's clearly right here. Now, I'm fully blind, but I don't wear the sunglasses. Mostly because I can't afford a good UV blocking pair, but also I'm not ever looking for pity or to play the part of a generic blind person. I just want to be treated like a normal person. But I don't understand her confusion as blindness is a spectrum, so I try to calmly explain. Me, ma'am, I'm sorry. I can't see anything, let alone your son. This is why I'm using a cane, so I can get around without. She cuts me off. If you're blind, why aren't you wearing the big sunglasses? Now, as a blind person, I get a lot of stupid questions, but I understand a lot of them are just people who don't know any better, and so I try to happily answer as many as I can. Me. Those are really expensive, around $200 for a good pair. I really don't need any inside. EM. You're not blind, you're just faking it. Here's where my blood starts to boil. I can't think of any reason someone would want to pretend to be blind. It's an actual hell, and nothing irritates me more than when someone calls me a liar when I'm not. Just as I'm about to respond, I feel a tug, and before I blink, I realize the little demon spawn snatched my $100 cane from my hands. For those of you who don't understand, it's like you're shopping and suddenly the power goes out and you can't see a single light. Without my cane, I can barely move at all without crashing into anything. My voice gets really shaky and I begin to panic. Please give that back. I really do need it. EM. No you don't, you liar. My son deserves to play with this more than you. I hear her shuffle away and my expensive cane cracking into metal displays and such as they leave. I start crying and waving my arms in front of me to grab onto something, anything. I end up crashing and falling into the center aisle display, making a loud scene. Without fail, I somewhat curl up into a ball and cry. I'm alone in public, in the dark, and I had no idea what to do. Suddenly, I feel a hand on my shoulder and a man's voice. We'll call him AG for awesome guy. Asks me if I'm okay and to stay right here. I do. Begin to at least sit up and listen. This man must have been tall and built like a tank because his footsteps sounded like a giant. I felt a suction of wind when he took off. Maybe about 30 or 40 feet away, I hear this loud bellowing like an angry lion and a loud crash. And then, before I knew it, the man was back, helping me to my feet. He takes my hand and puts my cane into my palm and helps me pick up the items I dropped when I fell into the display. Me wiping tears from my cheeks. Thank you so much. I didn't know how to handle that. AG, don't worry about it. Some people are just monsters. This guy restored my faith in humanity and even helped me finish shopping and helped me out of the store. As we're leaving, I can hear familiar screeching from the EM, something about AG grabbing the cane and pulling hard and flinging her little devil child into a shopping cart. I don't know if she was exaggerating or not, but it would explain the crashing I heard. It's easy to feel alone in the world without sight, but even though the sheer terror of being stripped of my cane, at least I know now there are people willing to stand up for me when I need it. Edit. Because of the sheer overwhelming amount of people asking, if you're blind, how are you typing? I'll first answer with my fingers. Second, I'm using a screen reader called Narrator to read the screen. Whenever my cursor or finger is over the screen, it reads. When I type a letter, it reads. Guys, just like Google it or something. A few things. One, I had never heard of Narrator, which is a Windows program, and it's come with every version of Windows, and it's part of the accessibility of Windows. Comes in a whole bunch of different languages. I was only aware of DragonSpeak, which is a program. I have a couple of friends who have partial blindness, and one of them actually used Dragon, and she told me about the program. The second thing is, I was thinking, what the hell kind of person takes a cane from a blind person? Oh, the same type of person who takes a wheelchair from somebody in a wheelchair, or crutches from somebody who has a broken leg, and then decide to give those medical devices that people use to get around to their brat because they feel that it's a toy, and because they called the person a liar and said that they're not actually disabled or that they're not actually blind, they get to rob the person instead. I'm glad that OP was able to get her cane back. And I'm glad that Awesome Guy came along, like a knight in shining armor or Superman, and basically knocked the snot out of entitled brat. Maybe that will teach him a lesson, though I doubt it. I mean, the kid does have a major disadvantage in that he has a stupid entitled mother as a mother. It would have been nice if she got a nice cell to go along with it. Maybe that would help get it through her thick skull that you don't get to rob somebody, especially a blind person or a person with disabilities, just because they bumped into your kid. What do you guys think? Please leave a comment in the comments section down below. Moving on to our next story. Our second story is posted by the Peasant King M. How an entitled mother lost all her family and died alone. The entitled mother in the story is my aunt's father's sister, mother-in-law, my cousin's grandmother. Ever since my aunt married her husband, an awesome guy, his mother had been very critical of her. She was a strong woman. She had survived on her own in the 1940s rural Mexico before marrying a doctor who made good money. Even though she insisted on being independent, kept her job, and managed her finances, all while raising my aunt's husband and his siblings almost on her own. Instead of making her a humble person, understanding of others' difficulties, she became a bitter woman who hated everyone who had it easier than her. It didn't help her that her husband died at a young age. Dealing with her was very difficult. You were either with her or against her. She controlled her children with an iron fist and tried to control every single aspect of their lives. Who they befriended, who they dated, where they traveled, what they studied. She was never outright abusive or rude to my aunt, but it was obvious she didn't like her, or any of her daughters and sons-in-law for that matter. But she was very nice to her grandchildren. She liked giving nice gifts and cooking all their favorite dishes. The first time I met her, I thought she was the sweetest old lady for how she treated my cousin. It was until she lashed out at me for disagreeing with her on the tiniest thing that I realized how she was. On September 19th, 2017, a strong earthquake shook Mexico City. Hundreds of people lost their lives and thousands lost their homes. Among them, my aunt and her family. They went to the only place they could go, to their mother-in-law's house. My cousin was the most affected. She witnessed how part of her high school collapsed, killing a couple of students, and she lost her home. At first, my cousin's grandmother was delighted to have them home. She thought my aunt would be her servant while she could spend all of her day talking to her son and spoiling my cousin. But my aunt and her husband still had to work, and my cousin was in no condition to be spoiled. Her grandmother was furious. 2 days after the earthquake, my aunt realized my cousin was getting worse and called a psychological support line established specifically to help those affected by the earthquake. My cousin's grandmother heard them and lashed out against her. If she had dealt with much worse, including 2 devastating earthquakes more, and had survived, my cousin could too. It's just that she was too weak and pathetic. My aunt tried to defend her, only to be met with insults and implications that her husband's worst mistake was marrying her. When my cousin's father arrived, they all argued for hours. He demanded an apology from his mother, who responded by throwing them out of her house. They had to go and live with a family friend for a couple of months. He promised that he would never talk to his mother until she apologized to his wife and daughter. Instead, my cousin's grandmother tried to have her other children on her side. None of them agreed with her. They all knew what had happened, and everyone sided with my cousin's family. She was furious. She demanded that all of her children apologize for disagreeing with her. When none did, she cut them off. She wouldn't cave. She wouldn't accept that she was wrong. She would rather never talk to her children and grandchildren again than admit that she was wrong. Cue to yesterday. My cousin received a call from her grandmother's brother. She had died earlier from the virus complications. None of her children knew that she had caught it. None of her grandchildren knew that she was in the hospital. And she had finally died alone. But at least she didn't have to admit that she was wrong. Gestalt Dude in the comments section wrote, "Of all the parts of the human psyche, ego is perhaps the most dangerous and difficult to deal with. Too little, you feel you have no value, leading to people walking all over you. Too much, and you become so convinced of your own superiority that you alienate people and are left with nothing but your own satisfaction, which can turn into self-loathing when you see what your pride has done to your life. I hope your cousin and her family are able to find some peace. The regret of not having made amends may rear its head, though, by the sound of things, they were quite glad to have her out of their lives. I can't say that I blame the OP and their family for not wanting to have this woman in their life. She sounded like a absolutely toxic, manipulative person. And it just makes me wonder if it was worth it to her in the end to be right. I mean, or to think that she's right in her own little delusion. You get to die alone, surrounded by nobody. Nobody cares about you. Nobody loves you. That just sounds so sad to me. That's how much being right means. What do you guys think? Please leave your comment in the comment section down below. Moving on to our next story. If you've been watching until here and are enjoying my content, please put some heart emojis in the comment section down below. Our next story is by Your Name Here. I snapped on a Karen. Recently I found a new job that I really enjoy. I worked both my old job at a restaurant and my new one for a while till I was able to fully start the new job. It had been a couple of weeks since I quit the restaurant and went back to pick up my last check. They were doing to-go orders only, like a lot of places are doing right now. I went up to the cashier station and my friend was the only person working and one cook. So I just started talking to her about what had been going on at my new job and stuff while she got my check from under the counter. The kitchen yelled, "Order up," and echoed through the whole empty restaurant, so she went to grab the order and I stayed at the front waiting for her to come back. I was standing next to the cashier stand, not behind it. A car pulled up and parked in front of the restaurant in a handicapped parking spot, and I noticed they didn't have a sticker to park there. I recognized the lady from when I used to work here. She's a total Karen witch that every single person who worked here hated her. She always had many complaints and almost never tipped. She would come in with a group of 2 or 3 more Karens and run the waitress around for 2 hours and then not tip. She even made the new girl cry one day. So I started to walk to the back to get my friend, and Karen wouldn't say anything to me, but she obviously recognized me from when I worked here. Some of this is paraphrased. I was so angry I don't remember exactly word for word. Karen, screaming, red in the face, "I want a refund. I'm so fed up with you all not knowing how to do your job." Me, "Let me get you someone to help." Karen, "No, you will give me my money back right this second. I'm never coming back here again. That girl said that she checked the order, but it was wrong. I was here a few minutes ago and ordered grilled catfish and there was no tartar sauce. How am I supposed to eat fish without any tartar sauce? And I never got my Dr. Pepper that I paid for." She looked like she was about to explode with anger. I was starting to feel angry too. Karen, "And I drove here twice already. I want money for the gas I wasted." Me, "Okay, let me just go get someone to help you." I will admit, I said it in a snappy way. I do not appreciate anyone talking to me like that. She noticed immediately and started cussing me out. My friend came out of the back, asking what had happened. Karen started yelling at her and I went to the back. I quickly asked the cook for tartar sauce while I made the Dr. Pepper. I then walked back up to Karen and she was still demanding a refund and $50 for gas. There's no way she used $50 for gas. She's insulting my friend, saying I was rude to her. I just wanted to say that what I'm about to do some of you might think is wrong, but after working for years in customer service and having to put up with awful people like her, I saw this as a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to finally give them a taste of their own medicine. I mean, what are they going to do? Fire me? I don't work there anymore. Me, no one here effing likes you. You are the biggest POS I have ever met. She looked at me wide-eyed and frozen in shock. Me, you really effing think it's okay to just come in here and not tip, and then treat everyone like they're worthless? Always such a nasty attitude, thinking you're better than everyone. I'm sorry your life is so effing miserable that you constantly have to put others down. You are an effing witch. Here's your stuff and you could shove it up your butt. I set the tartar sauce and the drink on the counter. I'm not gonna lie, I really thought about throwing it at her. Then I just walked out with my check before she could say a word to me. Although I think she was stunned, silent. No one probably has ever talked to her narcissist butt like that before. I went home and started telling my boyfriend about it, and before I could get a few sentences out, the owner of the store called me. He asked me to apologize, and I said no freaking way. So now I'm forever banned from going back there. My friend said that Karen threw the biggest hissy fit after I left, screaming for the manager and the owner, and she almost called the police. Really happy I didn't throw the drink at her now. I did feel bad for leaving my friend with the mess, but she said she was thoroughly entertained by the situation, and she wishes she could have cussed her out too. I really wish I said more to Karen, because on the way home I thought of all kinds of stuff I could have said. I think this has been a building in me for a while, and I finally snapped. Honestly, I do not regret a single word I said to her. I guess no one ever told Karen that manners are free, and if you don't like people treating you like garbage, don't treat others like garbage. It's not complicated. It's actually pretty simple. It's too bad Karen had never figured it out before. She probably just goes around treating everybody that way, and for the first time someone actually told her what they really thought of her. It would have been funny if Karen did call the police and caused a scene. Would have been nice if she got banned from the store too. And the thing I can't believe is that the owner of the restaurant had the nerve to ask the OP for an apology when he basically turned around and let his employees be abused by the same woman. What do you guys think? Please leave a comment in the comment section down below. Moving on to our final story. Our final story is posted by Segra117. Trade pizza for partially eaten sandwich. Not sure if this fits here, but here we go. When I was in high school, I worked at a pizza parlor. One day, a lady had ordered a hot sandwich. We made those too, and decided after one bite that she wanted a slice of pizza instead. She sent her son, who was younger than me, to do the exchange. The kid says he wants a slice of pizza instead. I say no problem and begin to cut a slice. I ring him up and he tries to hand me the sandwich. I look at him and ask what he's doing. He says he's giving me back the sandwich for the slice of pizza. I ask him what's wrong with it, and he says nothing. I politely inform him we cannot do refunds on partially eaten meals. If he wants a pizza, he will be charged for it. He gets the sheepish look on his face and wanders back to his table with the sandwich. The next thing I know, the mom is at the register with the sandwich, mad about how we won't do the exchange. About this time, a coworker, about the mom's age, overhears and says to her that there are no refunds and have a nice day. She gets ruffled feathers and wants to know my name and the name of the coworker as she gets out a pen. I say, sure, my name is OP and this is blank, the owner. She stops writing, glares at me, and leaves in a huff. I smile. Ooh, a Karen that got called on her BS. Well, I guess she's not getting anybody in trouble today. I can't believe that. Oh, I don't like the sandwich, so I'm going to take a couple of bites or a bite, and I'm going to give it back to them and say, oh, I don't want it. I want a piece of pizza instead. They can't resell the sandwich. The sandwich goes in the bin. I mean, I kind of wonder what planet Karen is from where this is actually acceptable behavior. But what do you guys think? Please leave a comment in the comment section down below. Anyway, that's all the stories I have for today. Links to the original Reddit posts will be in the description box below. Please stop on by Reddit to show the OP some love and an upvote. If you enjoy my content, please comment, like, and subscribe to my channel. Don't forget to hit the bell notification to let you know when I've uploaded new videos. Thank you for watching and have a great day.